Hello guys and welcome back to another Talk Coventry City video. Today we are doing something a little bit different after yesterday's playoff final game in which Oxford lost 2-1 to Wycombe, the playoff final. The League One season of the 2019-20 has now finished, so it is over. No more games in the League One season 2019-20. So what I thought I'd do, which would be quite fun, is I thought I'd have a look at my pre-season predictions for the season and compare them to how the table actually finished. Now, I didn't actually have my channel set up by the start of the season, but I did predict the table in full. I actually made it in my notes on my phone and I found it, and it's pretty interesting. We've got some mixed results. Some teams I was pretty spot on with, some teams way off. But let's get into it then. We'll go from the bottom to the top and see how close I was with my predictions. So without further ado, let's move on to my predictions. Now, starting off with the bottom four, the relegation zones. Now, I predicted this 1 week before the season started, so I was aware that Bury and Bolton were both in financial ruins at that point. So I did predict them to both come bottom, so that isn't actually a shock. So my bottom four was 24th Bury, 23rd Bolton, 22nd Wimbledon and 21st Rochdale. Now let's start with Bury. They actually didn't get a single game played this season. Them and Bolton both were in trouble, and Bury's situation was much worse. In fact, they were kicked out of the league, and the league only had 23 teams, so I suppose 24th is where they finished in theory, and I don't know what's going to happen to Bury in the future, but fingers crossed. I never like to see that sort of thing happen to a football club. Obviously it feels so bad for their fans, but like I said, fingers crossed that they can resolve something, maybe restart in the non-league or something, but it's sad times for Bury. 23rd was Bolton, and that's where they finished as well, so another spot on prediction, but no real surprises there. They started on minus 12 points. They had to play their first few games with their youth team because they couldn't pay their players, and then when they brought in their players it was almost too little too late, and they started to pick up a few results, but they were always going to get relegated, unfortunately. And I like Bolton, they're a good club, so fingers crossed that they do well and bounce back from League 2. Now 22nd I put Wimbledon. They actually finished 20th, so 2 places off, which isn't too bad. In my opinion, Wimbledon, they always seem to struggle in League 1. They've never really been a top half League 1 club, and I wasn't surprised to see them finish 20th, but well done to them. They did survive. I wrote them off saying they'd be relegated, so well done to AFC Wimbledon on surviving, although Tranmere fans will be a bit aggrieved as to how Wimbledon just survived after the points per game system. 21st I put Rochdale, who actually finished 18th, so well done. They actually survived, although I tipped them to go down. Didn't have a great season really. Coventry got the double over them, 2-1 at home and 2-1 away. But well done to Rochdale. They're in League One for another season, so fingers crossed that they can push on and do something a bit better next season. Now in 20th I put Southend United, who actually went on to finish 22nd. They were awful this season, and the only reason they didn't finish bottom was because Bolton had minus 12 points and they had all their financial problems. So Southend, yeah, a really bad season, and they really need to sort it out, and good luck to them in League 2. Now here's the this is the biggest shock of the lot. In 19th place I put Wycombe Wanderers, who actually finished, after the points per game system, they actually finished 3rd in the table. They were top for so long. They were top at Christmas, they were top through January as well, I think, and they did start to fall away, and luckily got into the playoffs after the points per game system, and then they went on to win the playoffs. They actually did really well in the playoffs. They thumped Fleetwood, worthy winners really, and then they beat Oxford in the final, who were a good team to beat. So well done to Wycombe, and we'll see you in the Championship next season. Hopefully Coventry can get more points off them, because we never seem to lose against Wycombe. In 18th place I put Accrington Stanley, who actually finished 17th, so that's a really close prediction. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Accrington. We only played them once this season. We drew 0-0 with them. They seemed okay. I think they're a good enough team to stay in League One, but whether they're good enough to push on from that, I don't know. So I'd imagine they'll be in a very similar position next League One season. In 17th, I'd put Gillingham, who actually finished 10th, which is not where they were most of the season. They were actually in the bottom half for the majority of the season, if I am correct. But they did end the season fairly well, and 10th. So yeah, I was a bit off on that one. Well done to Gillingham, and maybe they can push on to get top 6 next season. In 16th, I went for Tranmere Rovers, who came up from League 2, and I did tip them to do okay, just below mid-table there. But they actually finished 21st. They were relegated, and their fans will be a bit aggrieved because of how they got relegated. They were only 3 points adrift with a game in hand, and obviously there was a few games left of the season. They could have got out of it, really. It was very tight. So unlucky to Tranmere. Let's see if they bounce back in League 2. In 15th, I put Shrewsbury Town, and they actually finished 15th. So that's another one I got spot on. Really surprised with that, but in the same sense I'm not, because Shrewsbury, they're not too special. They're an okay team. I think they're Coventry's bogey team, really. They beat us at their place this season. We didn't play them at home. That was one of our remaining games. But yeah, Shrewsbury, they're just a very mid-table League One club in my opinion. So yeah, well done. I got that one right. Well done myself. In 14th, I put MK Dons, and they actually finished 19th. They had a pretty bad season. They did just stay up, but they had a bad season, so they're going to have to reflect on that and regroup and push on to do better next season, because it wasn't a good season for MK Dons. Bristol Rovers, I put them 13th, and they actually finished 14th, so one off, very close. Bristol Rovers, what was the score? We beat them, we got the double over them this season actually. We beat them 2-0 at home, we beat them 2-1 away, and then we also played them in the FA Cup twice because we drew at their place 2-2, and then we beat them at home in the replay 3-0. So I think they were okay this season, but nothing too special, so mid-table's probably about right for Bristol Rovers. In 12th place is Blackpool, and they finished 13th, so one off again. That's really frustrating to have two teams that have put one off. They started the season very well actually. They were in the playoffs after about 10 or so games, and I thought at that point my prediction was going to be wrong and they'd maybe challenge for promotion, but they fell away in a very mid-table season, so I did get that one pretty much right. 11th place I went for Lincoln, who finished 16th, so a few spaces off, not the worst prediction. I did tip them to do better than they actually did, because you know, Lincoln, to me, they're a decent club. They've got very good fans, and yeah, I was a bit surprised really to see them finish in 16th, but maybe next season they can push on. I think they're a pretty decent club for League One, so maybe next season, like I said, they can challenge for promotion. In 10th place I went for Oxford. They actually finished 4th, so they really surprised me. Quite a bit off really, saying they were going to be 10th. I think the season before they'd only just stayed up, so I didn't really fancy them to challenge for promotion, but they actually did. They were a very good team. We drew 3-3 with them very early in the season. They were a very good team actually, one of the better teams we faced this season, and then unfortunately for them they lost in the playoff final, so they'll be a bit gutted, but they'll go again, and if they have the same season as they did this season, they've got a very good chance of getting promoted next season. Now in 9th place I went for Burton, who finished 12th, so not a bad prediction, 3 spaces off, but yeah, not as good as I thought they'd be. In my opinion, Burton, they're a decent club for League One. They're fairly small, but they play some decent football, and I feel like Coventry, we've always struggled to play against Burton. But they didn't do great this season, mid-table, so another team that's probably just going to look forward to cracking on with next season. In 8th place I went for Fleetwood, who actually finished 6th, once again via the points per game system. I think they would have finished 5th if it was the table as it were, but then things changed. But yeah, they finished 6th and I said 8th, so pretty close. Fleetwood are a very, very decent footballing team. Very small club who've shot up through the divisions in recent years, but I think the way they play, the players they've got, and the manager they've got, Joe Bartney, really gets them going. I think they could challenge for the championship again next season, because they always do well. They're always in the top half of League One. Now, another one I got spot on was Peterborough. I said they'd finish 7th, and after the points per game system, they actually finished 7th, so I'm pretty happy with that one. Although the Peterborough fans wouldn't be happy with that, because they were in the playoffs when the season came to a halt, and they'll obviously argue that they had a very good chance of getting promoted, and their owners are fuming with the Football League. That seems to be an ongoing saga. But unlucky Peterborough, you're a decent club. We drew 2-2 with you at your place and scored in the last minute, didn't you? But yeah, unlucky Peterborough. Maybe you can go again next season. Now in 6th place I put my team, Coventry, and do you know what? When I predicted that, I thought I was being optimistic, because we were playing away from home, and yeah, we'd only finished 8th the season before, so to put us 6th I thought was being very optimistic. But we actually won the league, so amazing. Do I think we'd have won the league if the season had carried on? Yes, although it's not mathematically certain. We were very good this season. We lost 3 games in the league all season, and we were in such good form just before the season stopped. So yeah, I think Coventry would have won the league anyway. So yeah, I said we finished 6th and we finished 1st, so I didn't believe in us enough. But I'll obviously do some predictions when we're in the championship for the prediction of the table. I think we'll stay up, but I think it's going to be tough next season, but I'll do that in another video. Now in 5th place I went for Doncaster, and they actually finished 9th. Very disappointed with Doncaster. The season before they'd finished 6th. They were a decent team last season. They lost in the playoffs to Charlton. But this season they weren't the same Doncaster. They were a bit average, really. They did float around the top half, but they were never really in the top 6. I feel like they were just outside the top 6, and that is where they finished. They finished 9th. So another club that I'll look to kick on for next season. I still believe they've got Darren Moore as their manager, so maybe they can push on and do better things next season. Now in 4th place I went for the Mackems. I went for Sunderland Football Club, and they actually finished 8th, which is their lowest finish in their history, I think. Very, very low, and their fans will be absolutely disappointed, like gutted with that, because they are a big club, whether you like to say it or not. Sunderland are a big club, but they're underperforming, and yeah, they deserve to finish 8th, really. They weren't good enough to get promoted. I saw them twice this season when we went away to the Stadium Light. We drew 1-1, but we should have won that. We were very wasteful. And then we beat them at St Andrews 1-0, and we were the better team in that. So unlucky Sunderland fans, but you're gonna have to get behind them next season and go again, which will be their 3rd season in League One, which is shocking. In 3rd place I went for Ipswich, and they actually finished 11th. That is terrible from Ipswich, considering as well they were top for so much of the season. I thought they'd finish 3rd, and they were top for so long. I thought, oh, I should have predicted them to finish top. But after Christmas, they just fell to pieces. They were awful. Coventry, we drew 1-1 with them in the league. We knocked them out of the FA Cup, and we also beat them 1-0 at their place. So I think we were better than Ipswich, and it's a shame for Ipswich, because they were so good at the start of the season, but they blew it. And 11th, I can't believe that. That's pretty poor. In 2nd place, oh, here we go, I got another one correct. In 2nd place, I went for Rotherham, and they finished 2nd. So bang on with that, which I'm very pleased with. Not too surprised though. Rotherham, they seem to be a bit of a yo-yo club. I feel they are too strong for League One, but when they get in the Championship, they're not strong enough for the Championship. They seem to keep going up and down. But yeah, I did predict them to finish 2nd. I thought Rotherham were very good this season. Humiliated us at their place 4-0, which was the only time Coventry actually got outclassed this season. And then we drew 1-1 with them at St Andrews. I'd say that was an even game. They were probably a better team in the first half. We were a better team in the second. So I think Coventry and Rotherham being the top 2 was justified. They were the best team I saw other than Coventry this season. So Rotherham to finish 2nd, I got that one right. And then to win the league, I said it would be Portsmouth, who actually finished 5th, so a bit disappointing from Portsmouth there. Yeah, very disappointing actually, because I think Portsmouth are one of the bigger clubs in League One. They're obviously up there with the Sunderlands and the Ipswich of the league, and they were quite good this season, but they just not quite good enough, and that's the second year in a row they've lost in the playoff semi-finals. This time they lost to Oxford on penalties, which is gutting for them, but yeah, clearly not good enough for promotion. They'll have to go again next season, but they're a big club, and I would like to see Portsmouth get promoted to the Championship, because I feel like they're a pretty nice club as well. But yeah, unlucky for them. And that rounds up today's video. So that is my table that I predicted at the start of the season. As you can see, I got a few of them right, a lot of them wrong. One in particular really wrong, that Wycombe prediction, but I don't think anyone would have predicted them to get promoted, but well done to Wycombe for getting promoted. So that is Coventry, Rotherham and Wycombe that went up, and Bolton, Southend and Tranmere that have gone down. Everyone else will be in League One again next season. We won't see them because we are in the Championship. Cheers for watching today's video, guys. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.